Hi, it's Tim from Gomi Designs. We make 15mm wargaming figures for Vietnam Riverine. We have just released some new boats and redone the photos on our website, which generated a little bit of interest in the scenery. So, looks quite nice little bit of brown water. Obviously you can go and buy the commercial products, but I'm going to show you how you can make this pretty cheaply at home. Okay, the basis of it is a little bit of Greyboard, just to make things interesting. This is some canal sections I did for a Mons 1914 game, which never really got finished properly before the game. So I'm going to use this just to perk this up a little bit and see if we can bring it up to the same standard as the brown water. Things you will need: obviously you need to collect your equipment before you start. You're going to need some just ordinary cheapo kitchen foil. You're going to need obviously a baseboard, rolling pin, bit of PVA glue, again came from the pound shop, wherever you can get it cheap. And for spreading your glue, just scrap paper, then if we're going to finish it off with a bit of dry varnish, quick dry varnish, again just a very cheap product from Wilko, and a brush. So let's get going. What I've done, I've cut my tin foil to the correct size, and first thing I'm just going to do is just roughly scrumple that up, and this really is a very simple method. Carefully flatten it out. Now this can catch and tend to tear if you're not careful. Okay, so PVA glue, get that on there, and just spread that out evenly, thinly, but more importantly make sure you're covering everything, there's no little gaps. So that's done. Good coverage. And tin foil. Personally I use the shiny side. Now I made this a little bit extra because I'm thinking I'm probably going to end up trimming it off. Fingering down there. Now you might notice it's a little bit short at the end. I'm going to trim these to size at the end, mainly because I haven't got a large enough tin foil. Rolling pin, and that's your finish. Just roll and pin it down. Oh, just a little mark. You have a fingernail in there, just make sure it gets down. And that is our basic coat. When that's dry, I'm going to use the varnish and give it, gave it 2 or 3 coats previously, and these edges I'll just trim up as well with a knife. Alright, that's the first instalment. Obviously I'll be back after the stuff is dry to show you the complete process. Okay, this is dried overnight. I did get a slight problem that I recommend trimming out anything overlaps on the side before the glue is dried, because that has caused a little bit of a problem. So now I'm going to give it a quick coat with the varnish. Okay, just regular brush. And you don't have to be particularly tidy, just get it on there and get a good old coat on there. Don't matter if it slops on the side on this one, because we'll be going back and painting those afterwards. So again, doesn't matter, even coat's not required. In fact, if anything, that makes it a little bit better, because you've sort of got that dark and light colouring. Okay, so that's more like, you know, you get the different areas as well as the tinfoil effect. Alright, I'll give that a few minutes to dry. That's probably going to need either 2 or 3 coats, and then we'll come back and we'll paint out those paths and do a little bit of detailing. Okay, so we're back. This has had a couple of coats. I've coated all the other pieces. So on this one, I'm happy with 2 coats. On these previous ones I did 3 coats, but I think the 2 coats for this is fine. So I'm just going to do a little touching up on the edges with a sponging technique. So I'm going to give it a double hit. So these are just like the old normal makeup sponges. I'll pick up, like most of my most of my things at Poundland. So I'm just tapping that out to get an even hit. So when I sponge it on, it's just a nice sort of motley effect, but it does cover that slopped out varnish that went over the edge. So just very, very roughly for the purposes of this. But already, I mean, you can see that is a pretty quick technique. Do the other side very quickly. It's just a way of getting a nice kind of motley effect. It's not solid, so to give a little texture, and obviously with the varnish, any paint that does slop over there you can take off. Okay, so that's the darker colour. I mean, these are just Citadel paints. Probably the only thing I don't buy from Poundland is paint. So, and then this one I'm just going to do slightly light, but not everywhere, just pick it up. Give it a little bit of differentiation. Okay, and that's pretty much it for sponging. I plan to do another video on painting the boats with the sponging technique. That is slightly of the 3-phase one. Also, I think probably in this bit I'm going to insert a little bit about repairing stuff here. One of these things I made a cut on, I made a split, and you can just repair it by sticking another bit of tin foil in there and trimming out the edges. Other than that, we're pretty much done. I'm just going to spruce it up. I've got some of these little tufts I believe these are manufactured by Warlord. Just there is other people that make them. Just maybe stick one or two of them in there to